Terima kasih Mbak Dia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon everyone. First I would like to thanks to everyone to join us to the Trade Hub event in Jakarta. Particularly I would like to thanks to Bapak Abednego Tarigan. He's the Deputy Chief of Staff for Human Development, the Office of President of Republik Indonesia. Also, I would like to thanks for joining us, the Deputy Minister of Food and Agribusiness, coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs, and will be representing by Mr. Dida Gardera. Ibu Musdalifah sent her regret because she's in India now for another conference on palm oil. Also, thank you for the leader and representative from Indonesia government agency, including BRIN, the Indonesian Research Agency, from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Ministry of Agriculture, and others, and also leaders and representatives from organizing institutions, including UNEP, UN Environmental Program, and UNCTAD, UN Conference for Trade and Development, IPB University, and also University of Indonesia, as well as representative from UNEP WCMC, the lead of Trade Hub Global Consortium. Ibu Listen, thank you for coming again to Jakarta. And also to invited panelists and participants, representative from Government of Indonesia, foreign embassies, international organization, business and association. Thank you Pak Agus Purnomo, Pak Bremen from Apikal, Pak Agus from Sinarmas, academia, and civil society like SPKS. Thank you Mbak Dia Suradireja, ya. Not Dia Raharjo, ya. Something my mind is going to Dia Suradireja. Ya. Thanks everyone for joining this event. I would like to present a bit about the Trade Hub. As you see, I cannot see. This about the Trade Hub. This is a project globally led by UNEP WCMC from Cambridge, UK. Next, please. This is a research hub funded by UK Research and Innovation, Global Challenges Research Fund, UKRI-GCRF, and led by UNEP, UN Environment Program, Wet Conservation Monitoring Center, UNEP WCMC, and the hub consists of 50 organizations that based in 15 countries, including Indonesia, of course. So Indonesia partners CIFOR-ICRAF, WCS, Mbak Jenny is here, Jenny Pereira. Also IPB University, Lampung University, and University of Indonesia, ya. Bapak Sony Mumbunan. Ya. UNEP leads public sector work and strategy at the global and regional level, and CIFOR and partners lead particularly Indonesia, also involve research in Africa as well. Yeah. This is from February 2019 until March 2024. Yeah. Focusing and addressing intractable challenges in sustainable trade of agriculture and wildlife commodity trade. This is a nice picture when we were in Cambridge or London. Yeah. Okay. At the beginning of the project. Yeah. Next, please. The scope of trade global work is commodities in focus, palm oil, coffee, soybean, bamboo in China of course, rattan, rubber in Malaysia, cocoa, soybean in Latin America of course, wildlife and wild meat and many others including songbird. So this is a variety of commodity. So it's very important for the work of Trade Hub, how the global trade benefit environment and local people. So make sure it is not easy, because sometimes the trade of agriculture could jeopardize the forest, the environment. But Trade Hub work how to synergize, how to reconcile between trade, between making money and also environment. Next please. This Trade Hub Indonesia says many journal articles of course, publication, as well as we work on the ground to develop kind of sekolah lapang petani sawit in Pelalawan di Desa Segati So it is publicly available. So it's work on the, for instance, how important global trade for sustainability of palm oil. So one of key factor of sustainable palm oil is green consumers. If this consumer doesn't care about the sustainability, then quite difficult for Indonesia to have sustainable palm oil. Also, how important the government to lead to make our palm oil become more sustainable. I many times to say, Pak Abednego, that sustainability is part of our constitution. If we look at the Indonesian Constitution, Article 32.4, it is very clear, crystal clear, that sustainability is there, that our economy is developed in sustainable manner and environmental friendly. It is not our interpretation, but written there, crystal clear, it's well written. So it is, even though this is the word aspiration to be more sustainable, but also written specifically and clearly in the Constitution of Indonesia. Next, please. There's several things that also we work in Indonesia, how to link between palm oil, food, climate, and energy crisis, how to develop roadmap into more sustainable palm oil in Indonesia, in line with other initiatives. We have ISPO here, we have Rencana Aksi Nasional, the National Action Plan. There are many plan and action in Indonesia from the public as well as from the private sector. So how we combine, how to synergize between public and also private sector, between Indonesia and also the consumer country. I like the statement from Pak Abednego in the last policy dialogue. You mentioned that Indonesia as well as European, US have the same interest, how to make world more sustainable. Just different priority now. Environment is clearly become the priority of European countries, but Indonesia, yes, environment, but we still facing poverty. We still have to develop infrastructure. How then to synergize between common interests but different priority, how to help each other, how to understand each other. This is very important, that Indonesia understand what the consumers want, and the consumer also understand what the situation of Indonesia. But in the long term, I think it is our common interest. Next, please. So today's event is beyond Indonesia. It is regional process in Asia, because Trade Hub is not only working in Indonesia, of course. We work in China, in Africa, in South America as well. Yeah. So in Africa, there's a lot of issue of the deforestation, oil palm in DRC, in South America as well. How the soybean competing the forest. It will be discussed here. So thank you for Beatrice for try to synergize to Fabi how to make sure that we could contribute not only to a particular country but also to global processes. Yeah. I know that Professor Neil Burgess, the lead of the consortium, the lead, is how to make a trade hub contribute to different processes like COP biodiversity. Also, I was try to contribute to COP climate. Yeah. This is the global processes. But again, we have the same goal, just sometimes different priority now. Yeah. I think that's all what I can say. Again, thank you for you all for joining us. I hope you enjoy this event. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Heri Purnomo, for the welcome remark. And I would like to invite Mrs. Valerie Julian, UN Resident Coordinator in Indonesia, United Nations.
Distinguished participants and colleagues, it is my pleasure to speak to you through this video message. Let me first express my appreciation to all the panelists, representatives of government, and CGR colleagues who accompany us today. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to this event as co-organizers. UNCTAD would like to thank our co-partner for the fruitful collaboration in organizing this meeting, UNEP, Center for International Forestry Research, CIFOR, Institute Pertanian, Bogor University, and Center for Climate and Sustainable Finance, University of Indonesia. I would also like to thank the Swiss State Secretariat for their continued support to UNCTAD and biotrade initiatives. Today's meeting is very important and timely to explore and provide recommendations for actionable solutions to move towards a sustainable and inclusive nature-positive trade. UNCTAD has been working towards the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which recognizes the international trade as an engine for inclusive economic growth. And we believe that this can be done through sustainable use of biodiversity as trade as an important means of implementation for the Sustainable Development Goals. Since 1996, UNCTAD Biotrade Initiative has been supporting developing countries and strengthening their capacity to design and implement mutually supportive trade and biodiversity policies and measures. The core of biotrade is the biotrade principle and criteria, which is a set of guidelines for government, businesses, and civil society to conserve biodiversity through sustainable trade of biodiversity-based products and services. As we expand our work in the area of trade and biodiversity, this meeting will provide us with valuable insight, and we look forward to collaborating with each one of you. Asia, particularly the ASEAN region, boasts incredible richness of biodiversity. Despite occupying just 3% of the Earth's landmass, this region is home to 20% of the planet's flora and fauna, 35% of its mangrove forests, and 28% of its coral reefs. This is a gift. With a gift carries a significant responsibility and accountability, highlighting the critical role of the region in conserving biodiversity. This is why it is crucial that we jointly identify challenges and opportunities in the region to promote and build responsible, sustainable, and inclusive trade through sustainable supply chain of agricultural commodities that conserve biodiversity. There's no doubt this meeting will see rich exchanges and will pave the way to co-creation of innovative solutions. I wish you all a very fruitful discussion, and thank you.
While we wait, I would like to welcome Hernan Rustiadi, who is joining with us online. From Zoom, Professor Hernan Rustiadi is the Vice Rector of Research, Innovations and Agro-Maritime Community Development from IPB University.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to welcome you all to the GCRF Trade Hub Regional Stakeholder Consultation in Asia and cross-regional exchange with Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. This event is jointly organized by UNEP in collaboration with UNCTAD Biotrade and the Center for International Forestry Research and Wood Agroforestry, or CIFOR-ICRAF, with IPB University and the Center for Climate and Sustainable Finance University of Indonesia, and also bring together key stakeholders from various sectors to distinguish and exchange ideas on nature positive trade for sustainable agriculture supply chain and inclusive development. As a member of the Trade Hub Consortium, IPB is glad to engage in the project activities which aim to promote sustainable trade and address the challenges. Sustainability is the core of IPB University's mission, and we have a long-standing commitment to promoting sustainable agriculture and environmental stewardship in Indonesia. In particular, IPB has also established the Center for Transdisciplinary and Sustainability Sciences, or CTSS, which focuses on the sustainability agenda and development of sustainable science, in which understanding the dynamic system of human and its environment is the core of the center's effort in facilitating design, implementation, and evaluation of sustainable practices and solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, IPB is driven by a vision to become a techno-socio-entrepreneurial university by 2045, including dedicating to fostering nature-positive initiatives such as trade for sustainable agriculture, resilient supply chains, and inclusive socio-economic development. Recognizing the interconnectedness of these goals, IPB actively engaged in addressing the challenges through collaborative research, education, training, and effective stakeholder communication. As a practical example, in June 2023, IPB launched CIPESAT, which is an information system specifically designed for performance assessment and institutional strengthening of the oil palm supply chain, mainly focusing on independent smallholders. Additionally, CIPESAT features a fresh fruit bunch traceability component, reinforcing the legality of Indonesian palm oil cultivation. IPB University's commitment to nature-positive trade and sustainable practices, as exemplified by initiatives like CIPESAT, paved the way for a more environmentally friendly and economically robust future for agriculture and supply chain in Indonesia. I'm glad also to inform you that IPB was awarded as the world-best #1 in time higher education, TSE Impact Ranking for SDGs 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth in 2023. And as the best Indonesian university to receive the SDGs Action Award 2022 from the Indonesian Ministry of National Development Planning, or Bappenas. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, on behalf of IPB University, I would like to thank firstly to Professor Heri Purnomo, the leader of the Trade Hub Consortium, and to our distinguished guests from various sectors who will contribute to this important workshop, namely Dr. Musdalifah Mahmud, Deputy Minister of Food and Agribusiness, Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs Indonesia. To Mr. Abednego Tarigan, the Deputy Chief of Staff for Human Development, the Executive Office of the President of the Republic of Indonesia. Mr. Ari Sudianto, Head of Agency for Standardization of Environment and Forestry Instrument, Ministry of Environment and Forestry Indonesia. Representative from the National Research and Innovation Agency, or BRIN, Ministry of Agriculture, and Ministry of Trade of Republic of Indonesia. Leadership representative from organizing institution, UNEP, UNCTAD, CIFOR-ICRAF, and University of Indonesia, and representative from UNEP WCMC and the lead of Trade Hub Consortium. Invited panelists and participants, representative from the Government of Indonesia, Foreign Embassy, international organization, business and association, academia, and also civil society. I am confident that this event will provide a platform for open and productive discussion, leading to actionable recommendation to help us achieve a sustainable and equitable palm oil industry. And once again, I welcome you all and thank you for your participation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mor Edi Yusuf, Assistant Deputy of Plantation Agribusiness Development of the Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs. Pak Abednego Tarigan, Deputy Chief of Staff for Human Development, Executive Office of the President. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. It is my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the United Nations, whether you join us in person in Jakarta or online from across the region. At the outset, let me thank our partners for organizing this regional consultation, and I'm referring to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, the Center for International Forestry Research and World Agroforestry, IPB University, and the University and Center for Climate and Sustainable Finance, University of Indonesia. This regional stakeholders consultation for Asia is of key importance. Over the next 2 days, we will exchange information and experiences and identify opportunities and recommendations on how trade can promote sustainable agriculture supply chains and facilitate an inclusive social and economic development in Asia. Agriculture contributes significantly to the economies of South and Southeast Asia. The region, for instance, is the largest contributor to the global output of agriculture and fisheries. With smallholders at the core of the agriculture business, in 2029, agriculture employed 8.6 million people across Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines. The region is an important exporter of various food products, such as rice and vegetable oils, where it has a 79% and 61% share, respectively. At the same time, unsustainable patterns of consumption and production have led to interconnected triple crises: loss of nature and habitat, climate change, and pollution. The increasing demand to feed a global population projected to reach 9.7 billion by 2050 continues to incentivize agricultural expansion, converting land and destroying forested area. The expansion of agriculture was responsible for 88% of global deforestation between 2000 and 2018. Globally, agriculture accounts for 25% of the global greenhouse gas emission. Southeast Asia is one of the most vulnerable regions to climate change, facing heat waves, floods, and droughts, and increasingly intense and unpredictable weather events. Sea levels are also rising, and shorelines retreating in coastal areas, threatening the 450 million people living there. 19 of the 25 most exposed cities to 1 meter sea level rise are in Asia, 7 in the Philippines alone. The environmental footprint of the agricultural sector has been perpetuated by perverse public incentives. Governments spend nearly $540 billion annually on subsidies, 50% of the total agricultural production value, according to a recent UNEP FAO UNDP report. Out of this, 87% are price-distorting measures that harm the environment and human health. The solution is in our hands: more sustainable food and agriculture practices, fiscal government incentive to protect rather than exploit natural resources. If the generations living today continue to take more from the earth than they put back, what resources will be left for future generations? We as the global community must learn to live within our means and not take more valuable resources than we absolutely need. This is the key to sustainable development. While increasing evidence points to the negative impact that trade can have on nature and people, trade can also be part of the solution to promote a sustainable, inclusive, equitable, and resilient food systems. There is good news, with commitments and actions taken by Southeast Asian countries to tackle the challenges I spoke about. Recently, 28 countries published a joint roadmap for cooperation on trade, forest and agriculture commodities as part of the Dialogue on Forest, Agriculture and Commodity Trade, the FAC Dialogue, which is co-chaired by the government of Indonesia and the United Kingdom. This dialogue aims to bring together the big producers and consumers of internationally traded agricultural communities such as palm oil, soya, cocoa, beef and timber to protect forests and other ecosystems while promoting trade and development. At the regional level, ASEAN is driving essential work to strengthen the agricultural production and trade aligned with regional and international standards on sustainability. Significant efforts have been made by countries in this region to protect forests and make, for instance, timber and palm oil production more sustainable. While we are far from being done, all these efforts have at least slowed down the pace of deforestation since its mid-2010s peak. There is also a growing trend to include environmental and social provisions in free trade agreements, and this has a direct relevance to halting deforestation. For example, the Swiss-Indonesia Free Trade Agreement, which entered into force in 2021, includes reduced tariffs on sustainably produced Indonesian palm oil by 40% within a fixed quota using 4 sustainability standards to certify compliance. This is but one example of a path forward, preserving the value of international trade while encouraging sustainable practices. It is also important to foster dialogue and cooperation among the trade, environmental, financial community and civil society stakeholders to jointly identify challenges and opportunities in the region in order to promote and build responsible, sustainable and inclusive trade. This entails providing countries with trade-related technical and capacity-building assistance to promote sustainable production methods and technologies in agriculture, to meet environmental requirements in export markets, assess trade-related opportunities, and achieve sustainable development objectives. Our mission is to turn the vision of environmentally sound food production and trade into reality. I wish you all an excellent and productive exchange. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Robert Nasi, the Chief Operating Officer, COO of CIFOR-ICRAF, and also Director General of CIFOR.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a bit difficult to come after so many presentations and trying to be a bit original. So why is it that we are sitting in this room discussing about trade? And I probably do not have the answer from your perspective, but from the perspective of an organization like CIFOR and ICRAF, in fact, 2 organizations, 2 international organizations working together, and believing that forest, trees, and agroforestry system have a critical role to play in terms of mitigating and adapting to the various crises that we are facing. Climate crisis, biodiversity loss, growing inequities, inappropriate food system, broken value chain, and sustainable value chain. and we can think of, okay, let's produce or oil palm, or timber, or rubber, or coffee, or cocoa, or sustainably. But then you have to move your product from one place where you produce it to the place where other people will transform it, process it, or consume it. And if you produce your commodity sustainably with the best biodiversity, livelihood-friendly techniques, if you still carry your commodity in a freighter that uses a dirty fuel, then you haven't solved your problem. Because there is a huge emission factor embedded in the trade, in the transportation. Similarly, if you don't give to the producer a fair price for the product that they are doing, and if you don't level the playing field between people acting poorly in terms of environment, livelihood, social benefit, and the people acting very cautiously in terms of these elements, then of course you create a perverse incentive because one of the products is cheaper than the other. Again, as to reflect on what UN delegate was saying, I mean, it's sort of, we still have a huge amount of perverse incentive working in the trade sector. The biggest one is fossil fuel. We are subsidizing fossil fuel at the rate of $12 million per minute. So since I have started this talk, we have given $60 million to the fossil fuel industries. Unless we change that, it is very unlikely that we'll end up having anything that is close to sustainability in a matter of trade. And so I think it's important to have these events where people from different sectors, people coming from the Executive Office of the President of Indonesia, people coming from UNEP WCMC, research center like CIFOR-ICRAF, academia like IPB, other partner, I'm sure that we have civil society representative here, PKS, NGO, come together and say, okay, how are we going to fix this whole question of trade from the producing point to the consuming point so that it becomes, and I would say sustainable, I mean, that's the idea, at least a bit less unsustainable and a bit more durable, and so that we are not in the situation of the captain of the Titanic who has 1 minute to take a direction to avoid the iceberg, and if you miss this minute, whatever you do after, you eat the iceberg. And I think we are in this time and we need to change. Thank you very much.